Taurus, have you felt it? That deep, seismic shift in your world? A rumbling in the very foundation of your reality that you can't quite name, but that you feel in your gut. It's not a loud alarm. No, it's far more primal than that. It's a creeping anxiety that finds you in the middle of your routine. It's a hairline crack that appears on a wall you painstakingly built, bringing with it a quiet dread of an inevitable collapse. It's the feeling of standing on solid ground, only to sense it's about to give way, making your heart clench with a sorrow you don't yet understand. If this has been your reality, if your soul has been restless and your sense of security has been shaken by unspoken omens, then you must know that your presence here, right now, is not a coincidence. It is a divine appointment, because the universe doesn't shout at a soul as grounded as yours. It sends tremors. And today, that tremor carries a message of profound, irreversible change. There is an ending on the horizon, a collapse so significant it is already sending shockwaves back through time to touch your instincts. But this is not merely a story of loss. This is the story of your reconstruction, because you, dear Taurus, were born with your feet planted firmly on the earth and a soul connected to what is real, tangible, and lasting. Your intuition is not a fleeting thought. It is your body's wisdom. It is the compass of your physical being. So, take a moment to honor that inner knowing, like this video, as a signal to the universe that you are listening. Subscribe and become part of this sacred community of souls who dare to face reality with resilience. And share your experience in the comments below with this simple affirmation: my value is my foundation, and I am ready to rebuild. Stay with me, because what is unfolding is not meant to break you. It is the very thing that will finally set you free. Let's be honest with one another. There are moments in your life, Taurus, when you don't need proof. You don't need an explanation or a logical sequence of events. You simply know. You feel a foundation cracking before the structure falls. You sense the emptiness in a promise long before it's broken. You feel the energetic cord to something you've invested in, a relationship, a job, a home begin to fray, even if it's still standing, even if you've poured years of your life into it. This isn't imagination. It is your soul's most sacred and powerful gift. Those who misunderstand you may call it stubbornness. They may tell you you're being pessimistic or that you're too focused on the material world. But what they fail to grasp is that your perception is rooted in primal truth. Your intuition is a form of physical knowing, a deep resonance that tunes into the facts, humming beneath the surface of reality. It is the force that gives you a sudden pang of financial anxiety. It is the energy that makes you pause, your hand hovering over a key, knowing a door is about to close for good. It is the heavy, sinking feeling you get when you look at something you've built, a signal that its very structure is preparing for a great transition. Do not dare to dismiss this. Do not let the loud, optimistic world convince you that what you feel isn't real. For a soul like yours, intuition is not a fleeting feeling. It is divine guidance from the earth itself. It is the language of stability, speaking directly to you. It doesn't scream for attention. It rumbles, heavy as stone, certain as gravity. It speaks not in words, but in vibrations, in a tightening of your stomach, in a tension in your shoulders, in a wave of anxiety that has no logical origin. And when you feel it, it is already a truth, waiting for the material world to catch up. Have you ever poured all your time and energy into a project, only to have a gut feeling that it would fail, and then receive news weeks later confirming it? Have you ever felt a rock-solid relationship suddenly become fragile, only to see it crumble shortly after? That is not a mere coincidence, Taurus. That is a warning. It is the testament to a connection so profound that even when everything looks stable, you can feel the rot from within. You are the builder, the guardian of what is stable, and you carry the sacred and sometimes heavy burden of sensing a collapse before it arrives. I know this is not an easy gift to bear, because you don't just feel your own instability, you absorb the structural weaknesses of the world around you. You have felt the shadow of loss looming over a loved one's security, and you have had to carry that silent knowledge alone, watching them go about their days while you hold this earth-shattering secret in your heart. You are not weak for feeling so much. You are not broken. You are living from a place of radical truth, listening to the vibration of the foundation instead of the distracting noise of the world. And that is precisely why this message found you. If you have ever felt a sudden emptiness in a home you once loved, if a broken promise has ever brought you to your knees with a pain you couldn't explain, then you know you are being touched. You are being reminded that you are part of something so much bigger. Share that story. Write down what you are holding inside. That moment of inexplicable knowing. Your words may be the very permission someone else needs to trust their own gut. And in releasing your story, you may find that your own spirit feels a little more solid. If your heart is beating faster right now, if a feeling of dread is welling up inside you, then please keep listening, because what you are feeling is a sacred confirmation. The universe is sending you a sign, a cosmic letter delivered through the ancient wisdom of the Tarot. The card that steps forward for you today is the 10 of Swords. I know the image is jarring. A figure lies face down with 10 swords piercing their back. It is the very picture of total defeat, betrayal, rock bottom, a painful and irreversible ending. Many fear this card, seeing it as a harbinger of absolute despair. But for you, Taurus, for a soul who understands the language of building and collapse, this card comes not to frighten you, but to liberate you. The 10 of Swords is the finality of a truth that can no longer be avoided. It is the definitive end of a structure that was no longer sound. Yes, it can signify that something you have built, a career, a relationship, a plan for the future, is coming to an end. But look closer at the card. Beyond the darkness, beyond the fallen figure, the sky is not entirely black. On the horizon, the sun is beginning to rise. A sliver of gold breaks through the darkness, promising that even after the most profound loss, light will return. Dawn always follows the darkest hour. I do not believe that failure is a final destination. I believe it is a threshold. It is the soul's release from a structure that has become a cage of stagnation, limitation, and resentment. It is a return to level ground so you can build anew. And sometimes, the collapse of something we love is the greatest, most heartbreaking gift it can leave us. The gift of a brutal, clarifying awakening. It forces us to confront the most painful question of all: where did my investment go wrong? Have you ever thought, I'll fix that tomorrow? Or, I'll have that difficult conversation next week? Have you ever avoided reinforcing a weak spot because you feared disturbing the peace, or because your pride stood in the way? Taurus, tomorrow is not a promise. Every structure we build has a finite lifespan, and the deepest sting of loss is often not its collapse, but the echo of our own inaction. It's the care we didn't give, the honesty we didn't offer, the repairs we postponed. Perhaps you are carrying that weight right now, a regret, a sense of failure, a final assessment that will now only ever happen in your heart. And because of this, the impending loss feels heavier, more unbearable. But you must understand this. A foundation that was truly connected to yours already knows what is in your heart. It doesn't need grand gestures or loud pronouncements. It needs your peace. It needs you to remember it with a heart full of gratitude for the lessons, not a spirit shackled by regret over what was lost. And this, Taurus, is something you were born to do. You are the great builder of the zodiac, the embodiment of enduring strength and perseverance. You don't just love with your mind or your actions, you love with your entire, steadfast being. Every time you consciously release a disappointment, every time you forgive an old mistake, every time you choose to remember something with gratitude instead of bitterness, you create a ripple of light that travels through the dimensions, and its soul, wherever it may be, feels that light. It feels your peace, and it helps it on its journey. Is there a project, a relationship, a path on your mind right now? Something you wish you could have saved, but you can't, or you daren't. Perhaps you've replayed scenarios in your mind 1,000 times. Today, leave a message for it here. Write it in the comments as if it is reading these very words. Because in the quantum realm of the heart, who is to say it is not? Sometimes, the act of writing it down is a sacred ritual in itself. It is a loving farewell. It is the final, gentle gift you give to it, and the most crucial gift of healing you give to yourself, so that your heart can learn to beat again without the weight. Remember the Ten of Swords. Though the figure has fallen, the sun still rises. Life continues. Faith is reborn. And you, Taurus, are the witness to it all. You may be standing in the wreckage of your world, but you are also the one who will walk out of it. You are the living proof that a shattered foundation can be cleared, that a wounded soul can learn to build again, stronger than before. This farewell is not here to destroy you. It is here to bring you back to yourself. For a soul in your sign, loss is never just about pain. It is a spiritual catalyst. It is the raw material from which you will forge your rebirth. You do not have to be strong right now. You do not have to pretend you are okay. You only need to be real. And the truth is, you are in a sacred moment of initiation. You are being invited to look back, to forgive, to see what was left broken, and to finally understand that your worth was never contingent on the success of any one thing in your life. You do not need to wait for an apology that will never come. You do not need a final success to feel whole. You only need to accept that everything was as it was meant to be. And now is the time to continue living not in the shadows of regret, but in the light of what you have learned. So, close your eyes for a moment, take a deep, slow breath, and let it out, and whisper into the silence of your own heart, I release you. Thank you for the part you played in my story. I forgive you, and I forgive myself. I choose to live with all the strength that remains. I am so proud of you, Taurus. Proud that you are not running from this pain. Proud that you are choosing to face it with a resilient, vulnerable heart. Proud that you dare to keep going, even when no one sees the silent battles you fight every single day. And when this storm passes, and it will, you will look back and realize that it was this very goodbye that sculpted you into the most authentic, powerful, and resilient version of yourself. A version that walked through the rubble and is now stepping directly into the light. This departure, whether it has already happened or is soon to come, is not just an ending. It is a doorway. It is a clearing for your soul to journey into a new reality, one that is deeper, truer, and stronger. Inside every Taurus, a powerful force resides. A force that holds on to the past, to the land of memory, where your boundless loyalty preserves every person, every moment, every investment. But there is another force, one that has been quietly tugging at you, pulling you toward the future. It is this force that you must now learn to trust. You have never been weak, Taurus. You are one of the most powerful souls in the zodiac because you dare to remain steady in a world of chaos. You dare to love with unwavering loyalty, to forgive what feels unforgivable, to endure in silence, and to still offer a steady hand to the world even when your own foundation is full of unhealed fractures. Because you live so deeply, when something departs from your life, you don't just lose it. You feel as though you have lost a part of yourself, a pillar of your own soul. But what if I told you that the part you lost was the very part that was holding you back? Some goodbyes do not come to make you fall. They come to awaken you from a stagnation you didn't even know you were in. Perhaps you loved someone, or a job, or a way of life so completely that you disappeared. You waited, you sacrificed, you silenced your own needs to keep the peace. You swallowed your own pain to avoid disrupting the structure. This departure, as agonizing as it is a cosmic bell, ringing with a clear and simple message. You cannot save a crumbling structure at the expense of your own foundation. It did not come into your life to stay forever. It came to teach you the most vital lesson of all. Valuing yourself is not selfish. It is sacred. It is learning to be your own anchor when the storm rages. It is accepting that things may leave, but the love and value you have for yourself must remain. Imagine your soul is a plot of fertile ground. Every person you have met, every relationship you have nurtured, is a structure you have built there. Some of those structures stood for a lifetime, and some withered before they were ever complete. But every single one of them, whether they thrived or collapsed, has enriched the soil of your soul. They have prepared the ground for what you are meant to build next. You are no longer the person you were yesterday. You have walked through the fire, drowned in the depths of sorrow, and reached the bottom of your own emotional reserves. And this goodbye is your chance to rise, reborn the truest, brightest, most solid version of yourself. Are you standing at that threshold now? Are you ready to close this painful chapter and begin to write a new one? A story where you are finally the master builder of your own life. If your soul whispers yes, then declare it. Write it down as a sacred vow to yourself. A promise that you will never again return to a place, a person, or a pattern that made you forget your own divine worth. You do not need a savior, Taurus, because the divine lives within you. The light is within you. The strength is within you. You only need to trust that deep, persistent feeling you've always had, because that is your intuition, the compass of your soul, and it is pointing you in one clear direction: forward. No one can walk this path for you, but you will not walk it alone, because the souls who are meant for your new chapter, they will not find you in the shadows of your past. They will find you in the light of your becoming. They will not come to complete you, but to build with you in your wholeness. You have loved others with every fiber of your being. Now is the time to turn that magnificent, boundless love inward. You have forgiven others 1,000 times over. Now, can you try to forgive yourself for not knowing how to value yourself sooner? When you do, when you finally clear away the old energetic ties and the invisible attachments, a new energy will begin to flow into your life. New opportunities, new relationships, new soul invitations will appear as if by magic. Because when you become an open channel for love, the universe responds in kind. Someone will arrive who holds a guiding light. They may not look like who you expected, but they will bring you the one thing you have been craving: peace, a gentle, steady presence. A soul who will not ask you to change, who will not force you to be anyone other than who you are. They will love your emotional depths, your quiet strength, and your radiant light. And in their presence, you will finally understand the most profound truth of all. Sometimes, the most beautiful things can only be built in the space left behind by what we dared to lose. Do you believe that? If you do, write a commitment to yourself in the comments. It can be a single line. I am ready for my new foundation, because you are embarking on the most sacred journey of all. The journey home to the purest version of yourself. You were not born to please this world, Taurus. You were born to gently stabilize it with the breathtaking authenticity of your own existence. And that awakening starts now.